It started with whispers, mysterious pauses in shipping, quiet boardroom calls, and subtle shifts in warehouse operations. But today, the alarm bells are deafening. Over the past week, a seismic shift has rattled the foundations of American retail. Walmart, Apple, and Ross Stores, three titans of the US economy, have each issued alarming signals that, when viewed collectively, suggest a looming crisis. Walmart has warned of imminent price hikes due to unmanageable tariff pressures. Ross Stores has retracted its financial forecasts, sending shockwaves through the investment community. Meanwhile, Apple faces a direct ultimatum from President Trump: relocate iPhone production to the US or face a 25% tariff. These aren't isolated incidents. They're interconnected tremors indicating a potential retail meltdown. This destruction shows how fragile retail has become under policy strain. If these industry leaders are struggling to navigate the turbulent waters of trade policy, what does that mean for the broader economy? Are we on the brink of a systemic collapse in consumer retail? Before we delve deeper, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the African Web, and turn on notifications to stay informed about the stories shaping our world. When Walmart speaks, America listens. And this week, CEO Doug McMillon didn't mince words. He told investors that the era of cheap, stable prices is over. The retailer, which anchors the lives of millions of Americans, has reached a point where the tidal wave of tariffs can no longer be absorbed. We are no longer able to absorb all the pressure, he declared, plain, honest, and terrifying in its implications. The tariffs, levied on imports from China, Mexico, Europe, and even Canada, are slapping a 25% increase on everyday goods. From groceries and household essentials to clothing and electronics, nothing is safe. And unlike in the past, Walmart isn't just raising prices. It's overhauling its entire supply chain to survive. Behind closed doors, the company has launched one of the largest logistics shakeups in its history. Executives are rushing to pivot away from tariff-heavy materials like aluminum, searching desperately for alternate sources before the shelves go bare. This isn't innovation, it's trade. The clock is ticking. And Walmart knows that if it loses control of pricing, the ripple effect will hit every corner store in America. If Walmart's warning was jarring, Ross Stores' reaction was devastating. In an unprecedented move, the discount fashion retailer withdrew its entire fiscal forecast. A company that relies heavily on consistency and low-margin, high-volume operations has suddenly admitted it can no longer predict the future. Why? Because trade policy has become too volatile. Over 50% of Ross's merchandise comes from Chinese factories now buried under steep tariffs. As the costs skyrocket, Ross finds itself squeezed between rising expenses and a customer base that can't afford to spend $1 more. That pressure erupted into panic. In just hours, the company's stock plunged 11% in after-hours trading. Investors rushed to pull out, and analysts issued emergency memos warning of an explosive situation. CEO Jim Conroy confessed that the company's entire operating model is now obsolete. The rules have changed, and so has the game. Ross Stores isn't just shrinking, it's in free fall. Then came the shock heard around the tech world. President Donald Trump issued a blunt threat. If Apple doesn't move iPhone production to US soil, it will face an immediate 25% tariff. With no negotiation period and no delay, Apple, a company deeply embedded in Asian supply chains, was given a brutal ultimatum. Apple's iPhones are produced in China, India, and Southeast Asia. None in the US. A sudden shift would cost billions and take years to execute. Yet the pressure is real. The company's stock dipped nearly 4% the same morning the president spoke. The options are grim. Either absorb the tariff and see profits collapse, or pass the cost to consumers, raising iPhone prices by over $200. This isn't just a policy dispute. It's an identity crisis for Apple, a company built on global efficiency. And if Apple, with all its power and wealth, can be forced to rethink its entire operation, who's next? The effects of this trade war are not limited to American borders. In China, factories that supply Walmart and Target have slashed production by 70% and laid off hundreds of workers. Others are shutting down entirely, unable to afford the new costs. Some are scrambling to relocate to Vietnam, but even that transition is proving impossible for many. And this isn't just about money anymore, it's about survival. Supply chains that once stretched seamlessly across continents are now broken, tangled in tariffs, delays, and backlogs. As a result, the next crisis won't just be about price tags, it will be about empty shelves. Retailers are already warning of real stocking issues by fall. With global sourcing options shrinking, there's simply nowhere left to run. Ports, vendors, and producers are scrambling for fast alternatives and backups. The just-in-time model that powered American retail for decades is now its greatest weakness. Shortages are coming. Delays are piling up, and no one knows where the next blow will land. At the port of Long Beach, container traffic has plummeted by 20% in just 2 months. In Savannah, customs delays have doubled processing times. The slowdown is now visible in every sector connected to retail, from truckers to warehouse workers to port officials. Tariffs aren't just taxes anymore, they're turning into traffic jams. And in retail, every delay is a disaster. While President Trump defends the tariffs as necessary to bring manufacturing back home, not everyone agrees. Democratic governors from key states like New York, Michigan, and Illinois have called for an emergency rollback of the latest tariff wave. They argue that continued escalation could strip $180 billion from the economy in the next year alone. But the political divide is sharp. Retail CEOs are walking a fine line. Walmart isn't openly criticizing the White House, but isn't hiding its warning either. Ross isn't pointing fingers, but its silence speaks volumes. Apple is quietly investigating backup suppliers in the US and Mexico, but insiders say a full transition will take years and cost tens of billions. The storm is growing, and the responses are increasingly desperate. Walmart is reorganizing its warehouses. Ross is retreating from the market. Apple is bracing for a long war. Behind the headlines, all three are pivoting to survive what could become the most disruptive economic moment in modern retail history. This is not a theoretical crisis. It's a cascading series of shocks threatening to dismantle the infrastructure that feeds, clothes, and connects millions of Americans. For years, the retail system relied on global stability, but that foundation is cracking, one tariff at a time. These companies aren't just reacting, they are recalculating, because they understand what's coming. This is not politics. This is reality. Boardrooms are operating under pressure, with simulations playing out worst-case scenarios. And as the dominoes fall, suppliers close, inventories shrink, and prices soar. The true cost of economic nationalism will begin to show itself. Will Washington adjust before the system collapses? Or are we watching the beginning of a retail reckoning no one can stop? Let us know what you think in the comments. Could this be the breaking point for American retail? Or is it the start of a necessary transformation? If you found this video insightful, like, share, and subscribe to the African Web for more global insights with an African perspective.